Wheels with it, throws it to the open corner. Going back to last season, Pasternak. Now it's 61 goals in his last 83 games as his one-timer finds the back of the net, and for the sixth time in his career, he reaches the 30-goal plateau. Pasternak is the top sniper in the NHL because, I mean, this shot, the one-timer, is something that he just specializes in. John Gibson, you see, he can't see that shot. Well, Benoit and John Klingberg are acting as screens in the shot.
What the puck is going on?
All right, I'm Stephen Murray. This is What the Puck is Going On. We are on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. Nephew Dave is on the road tonight, so we might hear from him a little bit later. We're not sure. I do have his picks. If we can go over here at the end of the show. Not much on the slate on tonight's NHL hockey card, but we'll go through it nonetheless. I am Stephen Murray once again, and we are What the Puck is Going On. This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network, broadcasting live from the beautiful shoreline of Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. It is 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have four games to discuss on the card tonight. Let's see if I can go ahead and get everything squared away on my computer for the odds and everything. Yeah, so we have two games at 7 o'clock, a game at 8:30 and a game at 9:30, and a much bigger slate tomorrow night. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings just to kind of get everyone caught up with where we're at. I know we've had a busy weekend with NFL and everything, so maybe hockey has fallen under the radar for you just a little bit. There are injury concerns across the league for sure, and stuff to definitely go over. So let me get my standings right. Here we go. And we'll start in the East with the Metro. Right now, Carolina is in first place. They have played 46 games, 29 wins for them, 9 losses for the Hurricanes, and 8 overtime losses. So just 9 regulation losses for the Hurricanes. They have a plus 27 goal differential. They've won 2 in a row, fairly well in their last 10 games with a 5-3-2 record. But Carolina with 66 points now has the lead over New Jersey, who has had that lead for most of the season. So look at this. Carolina has jumped into first place in the Metropolitan Division. New Jersey, 7-1-2 overall in their last 10, 30-12-4 overall. And they have a plus 40 goal differential themselves. The Rangers, they've been red hot here. They're third place in the Metro, 6-2-2 for them. In their last 10, the plus 22 goal differential for the Rangers as they're catching a positive stride and climbing the division ladder here. Washington has also climbed the ladder, but they've kind of leveled off a little bit here in their last 10, just 4-5-1. Pittsburgh right below the Capitals with 54 points. They trail them by 2 points. The Caps, 56 points, right? So that's going to trail Carolina by 10 points overall. The Penguins, plus 10 on a goal differential. And the Islanders, they have been struggling now. So they're starting to plummet a little bit here in the Metro, 2-5-3 in their last 10, but they're down to a 6th place overall. The Flyers playing a little over 500 hockey here, 7th place overall in the Metro, but they are minus 22 on their goal differential. Look at this. Columbus minus 61 overall on their goal differential. Nephew Dave put them in the penalty box last week, and he was right because they're just 3-7 overall. Here are the Blue Jackets and not playing very good hockey at all. Nephew Dave with some really good picks lately as well. He's been on a little bit of a tear here. The Bruins, first place in the Atlantic. They have a plus 81 goal differential. They've only lost 9 games on the season, and 4 of those have been in overtime. That is impressive. They have 37 wins and just 5 regulation losses. 9-1 in their last 10, and now they've won 5 in a row. They've scored 177 goals, which is by far pretty much the best in the league. At least they 10 more than Dallas has anyway, who's first place in the Central. We'll talk about that division next. But the Bruins are red hot. 9-1 overall in their last 10. 22-1-3 at home. 15-4-1 on the road. The Maple Leafs, second place, 5-3-2 in their last 10 games. 28-11-8 on the year for the Maple Leafs. But they have a plus 33 goal differential. They've scored 158 goals, but they've also conceded 125 as well, which is, I'll say that's actually one of the better stats. Boston is the only team who's conceded less than 100 goals on the season so far. So, man, Boston's red. I don't think I've ever seen a hockey team that good in the NHL all my years of watching this sport, to be honest. Tampa Bay, they are in third place right now, plus 28 goal differential for them. They've lost 2 in a row, though, 6-4 in their last 10. Florida, they've been surging a little bit, 7-2-1 here in their last 10, winners of 2 in a row. Buffalo, 5-4-1 in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. They're in fifth place. The Bruins, 14 points ahead of Toronto, are the Bruins. Wow, unbelievable. Detroit, 3-6-1 in their last 10. There are 19-18-8. So the Red Wings, where they showed some promise earlier here in the season, they're starting to find their way down to the bottom of the standings. Ottawa, then Montreal are your 7th and 8th place teams. Both teams are playing 500 hockey here for the most part. Ottawa 4-6, not quite 500, but Montreal 5-5 in their last 10. Montreal a minus 46 goal differential for them. They've given up 171 goals, have the Canadians. That is a lot. In the Central, Dallas, they are at the top spots right now with Winnipeg. They both have 63 points. So both of these teams, we've had an eye on them. We told you to look out for these two teams pretty much from the get-go. You're getting great prices on both of them to win the Central. And their odds are going to be down significantly when we look at that here towards the end of the show. But Dallas and Winnipeg, we told you to maybe go ahead and grab them a couple months back. And if you haven't, it might be a little bit too late now. But Winnipeg 7-3 in their last 10. Dallas leveled off a little bit. They're playing right at 500 hockey here in their last 10 games. Minnesota, the Wild, 500 hockey for them, plus 13 on their goal differential, but they are good enough for third place with 54 points. And the Avalanche, there they are, fourth place, 53 points overall. They trailed the division leaders by 10 points. 6-4 for the Avs in their last 10, but they have won 5 in a row. So they're going to be the hottest team here, I think, in hockey. Let me go and scroll all these winning streaks. Boston is going to be the hottest team in hockey. They've won 5 in a row. But besides Boston, okay, they're going to actually be the second hottest team. We'll go over to the third hottest team. The second hottest team we'll get here in a second. Nashville, St. Louis are your 5th and 6th place teams. Nashville, 50 points. St. Louis, the Blues, 49 points. Arizona, just 35 points. They're 2-8 in their last 10. And the Blackhawks, 6-4 in their last 10. In the Pacific, Vegas and Seattle have the top 2 spots, separated by just 1 point. Vegas with 60, Seattle with 59. Actually, we're going to trickle all the way down. Los Angeles, third place with 58 points. Edmonton, jumping up there now, 57 points for the Oilers. They are 7-2-1 in their last 10. The Kraken 7-2-1 in their last 10. Vegas and the Kings are both 500 teams heading here towards the All-Star break. Calgary and Vancouver. Calgary 5-3-2 in their last 10, so they're playing a little bit better. They have 53 points, so they're still right in the mix. And you figure that the Pacific is still up for grabs for any of those 5 teams: Vegas, Seattle, Los Angeles, Edmonton, or Calgary. Vancouver, San Jose, and Anaheim round out the last 3 spots in the Pacific. Vancouver with 39 points. They're just 2-8 in their last 10. San Jose 3-5-2 in their last 10. In Anaheim, 3-6-1 in their last 10. Look at this. Anaheim has given up 199 goals on the season. They've only scored 113. 113 goals scored is going to be by far, not by far, but pretty decently the worst in the league for scoring. And as far as allowing goals, 199 is going to be by far the worst in the league. So that is your worst team right there, the Anaheim Ducks. 13, 29, and 5 for Anaheim. Let's go ahead and look at the injury situation. I'm going to just do a blanket injury report here. We'll see which teams are relatively healthy. We'll go through everyone. How about that? Anaheim, actually not too bad. Arizona, they got 4 players on the IR, not too bad. Jake DeBrusk for Boston. He's the one guy that they will want back. He will be back sometime mid-February. Ben Bishop, the goalie for Buffalo, that's their one key injury that they have. Calgary, fairly healthy. Let's see. Carolina, fairly healthy, but they like to get Max Pacioretty back. He has an Achilles injury. We won't see him until the playoffs, most likely. Chicago, they're not too bad. Let's see. Tyler Johnson, they could use him back, that's for sure. But Chicago, just 4 injuries right there. Cal McCarr, Colorado will need to get him back. And Colorado is still one of the more banged up teams. Landeskog, he will be back mid-February. It looks like the Avalanche will get healthy here in a couple weeks. In early to mid-February, they should start to see the bulk of their injuries coming back. Columbus, they're banged up. No hope for that team. They're a bad team. Dallas is healthy. Detroit, not so much. Edmonton is battling a few injuries themselves. It looks like their key players that they may need back, we're talking about Ryan Murray, Matthias Janmark. These guys should be back sooner than later. Bobrovsky for Florida, the goalie. Will he get traded? Who knows? But Florida has been surging a little bit. He will be out here for about a week. Eric Stahl, Patrick Hornquist, all these players should be back hopefully by the beginning of February for the Panthers. The Kings, they are a little banged up. Montreal is going to be a terribly injured team. They're going to be a good team to probably pick on here. We'll look at that as far as putting them into a penalty box scenario. In fact, we'll go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and throw the Canadians in the penalty box. The penalty box means that's just simply a team that we're going to want to bet against here.
Trying to switch 7 guys. Mike, come on. You can't do that. That was probably number 10. 2 minutes broken. I need you, Tampa. Tripping.
12 injuries for the Canadians, and they are not really going to get any of these players back for some time. So they're going to probably be fielding some AHL players in their lineups, stuff like that. Montreal, just a very banged up team. Nashville, healthy. New Jersey, relatively healthy. The Islanders had a bunch of injuries, but it looks like that they will get their key guys back, like Cal Clutterbuck. They'll need him back, but he'll be back in about 2 weeks, it looks like, for the Islanders. Ottawa, bad team, just a couple injuries for them. Philadelphia, just a few injuries for them. Letang, Kapanen, Archibald, all out for Pittsburgh. We should get Pittsburgh a little bit healthier here soon. They're going to have to turn it on a little bit, the Penguins. They might be left out in the cold here come playoff time if they can't start to string consistent wins together. San Jose, they have 5 injuries of note. Seattle has a few injuries too. Now, these players should be back sooner than later, but Andre Burakovsky is going to be one of the bigger names for Seattle that's hurt. Jaden Schwartz too. Those players will be needed for Seattle for them to make their playoff run. St. Louis is a banged up team, so keep an eye on that. Tarasenko is hurt. Krug is hurt. Bortuzzo is hurt. Now, these players should start to trickle back sooner than later for the most part, and throughout February. Ryan O'Reilly, another name, but the Blues, a team who has been very schizophrenic, they have a load of injuries to deal with. The Lightning, Pat Maroon, he's day-to-day. Nicholas Perbix, he's day-to-day as well. So Tampa, just a couple injuries, and they will be considered pretty much healthy once they get these players back. Toronto has a few injuries themselves. Most of their players look to be coming back later than sooner, so maybe they can get fully healthy by the playoffs. Vancouver, we talked about them being a bad team. Thatcher Demko, their goalie, he's going to be out for a few more days now. Actually, he'll be reevaluated tomorrow, it looks like. But Vancouver, not looking like they're going anywhere this season anyway. Vegas, they have a lot of injuries to deal with. So Robin Lehner's hurt. Not only is he hurt, he's declared for bankruptcy. If you didn't see that story, go ahead and look that up. William Carrier, Mark Stone, all these players are hurt. It looks like the bulk of the injuries should come back here by the end of the month and right there at the beginning of February. But Vegas, in the immediate short term, is a banged-up team. Washington, they are banged up again. TJ Oshie is in and out of the lineup. So he's going to be out. It looks like personal reasons for Oshie, so he has something going on. But Ovechkin, Hagelin, Nick Dowd, John Carlson, Connor Brown, all players who are out. Carlson probably has about another month. Ovechkin is day-to-day. I think that in the 17 years, I just saw this earlier today, this is just Alex Ovechkin's 18th missed game overall. Hagelin and Dowd should be back sooner than later, hopefully. And Winnipeg, it looks like they're fairly healthy. Just a couple players mentioned on their injury report. They're good players, though. Logan Stanley, David Gustafson, Mason Appleton, but they should be back here sooner than later. If I did not mention your team, then they are fully healthy. No one on their injury reports. Okay, so that's your injuries. That is your standings. Let's go ahead and take a look at the slate for this evening. And we have the Islanders and the Maple Leafs. This is a 7 o'clock face-off. The Maple Leafs are minus 230 favorite. The Islanders are plus 190 on the comeback, and the over-under is 6 goals for this. Let's see who our listed goalies are for this game. Ilya Samsonov and is listed as a goalie, and Ilya Sorokin, to the battle of two Ilyas there, Samsonov and Sorokin. Samsonov is the Maple Leafs goalie, Sorokin the goalie for the Isles. So let's see here. As we look through here, 60-minute money line. Now, we talked about Toronto here. If I go back to the standings, let me get these two guys' recent form again. We talked about the Islanders not playing well at all, and just the 2 wins in their last 10. Toronto has been playing a little bit better. So you would think that Toronto on home ice tonight against the Islanders would be the simple play, and that's what the odds say. So the odds with that, if those will pull back up. Heavy favorite for the Maple Leafs at minus 230. You figure they could probably win this game in regulation. Minus 142 if you want to take the Maple Leafs to win in regulation. I think that's a safe bet. If you're looking just to throw a couple things out there for tonight, no Monday Night Football, a decent basketball NBA card, and just the 4 hockey games. So there's not really a lot to go with tonight. But if you want to do one small parlay or something like that, you might as well throw in the Leaves in there with the 60-minute money line at minus 142. Would I be interested in taking a winning margin here? I don't think so. The Leaves do give up goals, is the one thing. The Islanders can play feisty and physical. We all know that. But with just 2 wins in their last 10, they are heading in the wrong direction. The Leafs minus 2.5 is plus 180. on an alternate puck line, I'm not so sure I'd be too comfortable going with that really either, to be honest. But I think that's a good simple play, is go ahead and take your Maple Leafs at a minus 142 with the 60-minute money line. All right. Next play on the board. This is a good game, actually. Couple good games here. Florida Panthers and the Rangers. Panthers are plus 134. Rangers minus 162. The over-under is 6.5 at Madison Square Garden for this game. Goalies listed here are Igor Shesterkin and Alex Lyon. So no Bobrovsky for the Panthers, as he is hurt. So Lyon will be the goalie here. I think you got to figure the Rangers with Shesterkin and just their form should be the favorite here at home. But the Panthers have been playing well. I told Nephew Dave that too. And he gave me the old, oh, okay. And it seems like the Panthers have done a decent job overall here in their last 10. So if we look at them again, 7-2-1 for the Panthers in their last 10. They have an exact goal difference of 0. So they've scored as many as they've given up, which has been 163 goals. 23-20-5 overall for Florida. The Rangers, 25-14-7, 6-2-2 in their last 10. Losers have won in a row, but they have that plus 22 goal differential. They've conceded a lot less goals than Florida has, but they've scored a few less themselves. So this is a good game, contrasting styles a little bit as well. It won't surprise me who would win this game, to be honest. I think for that reason alone, this is going to have to be a pass for me on some kind of play, because you're getting good money back on Florida. But at MSG on a Monday night with Shesterkin and net, then the Rangers have to be the favorite here. Minus 162 for the Rangers. And the 60-minute money line, we're looking at minus 115 for the Rangers. And you get a nice price on the Florida Panthers at plus 230. I think if I was going to take any kind of angle here, I think I'd look at Ranger goals. This is a bet I like to make more often than not. If I'm betting hockey, you don't have to worry about the team winning. Really, you just need to worry about the team getting to a certain amount of goals. And if the Rangers can get to 4 goals tonight, over 3.5 is at even money plus 100. Now, I was looking at the scores, I think on Saturday anyway, and it looked like just about everyone was going to get there on their score. It didn't matter who you took. If you took the over on the team prop, then you were looking like you were in pretty good shape. So, that being said, and we've been talking about live wagering a lot too as well here on the show, these are the perfect plays to live wager. Because if you can get into like 10 minutes into the game and you get scoreless, then you're going to see this 3.5 maybe drop down to a 2.5. And then that's when you go ahead and grab it. I feel like I've been grabbing and so forth too. I mean, you might get into the second period with no goals, and then at some point you're going to get 1.5. And for a team just to get 2 goals in the time of in the span of half a game, and I feel like more often than not you get more goals in the third period, the second period, etc. Maybe that's just me. That's just what it seems like, though. But on the live line, as far as the wagering, taking team totals, it's not a bad idea to kind of hold out. Now, if your team goes up, the team that you're looking at goes up 2-0 out of the gate, then that's another story. You don't want to jump on them at over 5.5 goals or something like that. But what you're looking for is a menu of teams, and if they're staying at 0 and you have conviction that they can put some goals up on the evening, you'll get a much better price in game, and you'll get there. Usually, a lot of times you can win those bets pretty quick if a team can go ahead and get maybe a couple power plays back to back, or even get a 5-on-3 or something like that. You get your goals coming fast and furious. So live wagering with the team totals is a good way to look at things. Just FYI, putting that out there for you guys. This could be an overtime game, to be honest. Plus 330 to get to overtime is not a bad price. I'd go ahead and take a look at that potentially. So over 3-1 odds to get to overtime with the Panthers and the Rangers. But if I had to play, I guess I would take over 3.5 here with the Rangers. Let's see here. Dallas Stars and Buffalo Sabres is an 8:30 game in Dallas. Minus 192, the favorite Stars. The Buffalo Sabres are plus 158. A battle of hockey teams whose football teams had a very, very bad Sunday. 6.5 is the over-under here for the Stars and the Buffaloes. Let me go ahead and get Buffalo's recent form up again. I want to make sure I'm on pace with them because they're a little schizophrenic too. 5-4-1 for the Sabres in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row, plus 17 goal differential for Buffalo. They have 49 points on the season. Dallas, the first place team, tied with Winnipeg in the Central. They've scored 167 goals. They've just allowed 124. This game could be an over game. Both of these teams have the capability to score goals, and they've given up a fairly decent amount. Dallas not as much as Buffalo has, for sure. Buffalo has given up 155 goals on the year, just 124 for Dallas, like we said. But I could see this game being an over game. And if we look at that, again, the over 6.5 is going to be I just don't like to play totals when they're that high in hockey. I just don't. Dallas could come up, out-physical Buffalo, shut down their offense, and the next thing you know, it's a 4-1 Stars win, and, there you are. Still a goal and a half away from getting your over. So I won't look at that, but I'll, again, look at the team goals here. Let's see what we got here. We have Buffalo over 2.5 team goals at minus 140. That might be worth a shot for sure. And Dallas at over 3.5 team goals at minus 122. I think that's worth a shot as well. You know what? I would go ahead and maybe take those both on a straight play, to be honest. Now, you're getting overly juiced on those as opposed to just taking the straight over-under. But if you're going to maybe throw this in your opinion, you can't parlay these two together. For example, if you're going to take the Toronto money line in regulation at minus 142, I think we said, then, you have to pick one or two of these. But I think both of these are fair game. Buffalo over 2.5 goals is fine. And I think taking Dallas at over 3.5 goals is fine as well. And the Craig Anderson and Ottinger are the goalies listed for this game. Anderson is the Sabres goalie. Jake Ottinger is the goalie for Dallas. Sabres and Stars, 8:30 from Dallas. Just one more game on the night, and then we'll take a quick look at tomorrow's slate. Give a quick opinion on that. We'll take a break, and then we'll come back with the futures. Calgary minus 360, heavy favorite against Columbus at plus 280. Over under at 6.5. Minus 1.5 for the Flames is minus 144. As much as I kind of like Calgary, and that's a team I played on last year. This is a team I've dipped into a little bit this year in my limited hockey wagering attempts of the season. Not, by far, hockey is the one sport I bet the least right now. Should be more than football, I'll tell you that. I do better at that. Calgary, though, is, let's see, team goals for them. Over 3.5 is minus 158. Man, they just can't turn on the offense sometimes. Columbus team goals over 2.5 is plus 134. I wouldn't trust that either. That's going to be a big line at home. But I guess, if you're going to do your parlays, I mean, you're still looking at minus 220 for a 60-minute line for Calgary to win. You think this is a game Calgary can easily win at home in regulation, but man, they kind of just don't show it at times. And Columbus, man, you can't put any faith in them. This is just one of those, maybe you're better off just running for the hills type of games, to be honest. Calgary is still the 5th place team. They don't score. I mean, they've only scored 147 goals, which is about middle of the pack. They've given up 142. Decent form in their last 10, 5-3-2. But Columbus is just bad. They're not good at all. They are, although they won their last time out, still that minus 61 goal differential. On the road, they're just 3-15-1. I think maybe that's the key stat here. Calgary, at least at home with the Flames, they're just a 500 team. They're a better away team themselves. So, actually 13-8-2 for Calgary. Edmonton's the wishy-washy home team right above them. I'm looking at that stat. But Calgary 13-8-2 at home. I think this game favors Calgary for sure, but that's just too much of a price for me to lay down on against a bad Columbus team on the Monday night with not much else to bet on. So a pass on that most likely for me. Korpisalo is the goalie listed, and Vladar is the goalie listed as well for both of these teams. All right. Though tomorrow's slate, let's see, 7 o'clock, we have the Sharks and the Red Wings. Interesting game there of two teams trying to find some better results. That will be a tough one to pick for sure. Interesting game with the Kings at the Flyers, although the Flyers have been playing a little bit better. The Kings are going to be on the road. So just an interesting matchup overall there. The Wild and Lightning is a good game tomorrow night. The Wild at plus 132 may be something to look at. You're getting a plus price with the Wild. But this is starting to turn into a long road trip for them. Here are the Canadians. I mean, if we're going to pick on them, we might as well pick on them with the Bruins, right? The Bruins at just minus 1.5, minus 144 on the puck line tomorrow. That might be a good play for sure. And we talked about Montreal giving up all the goals. The team goals are not out, but you can figure at over 3.5 goals for the Bruins. That'll be heavily juiced. Probably minus 140 or 50 or something like that. But don't be afraid to lay the wood with the Bruins on some kind of team total tomorrow night. The Golden Knights, banged up team, are at New Jersey tomorrow night, so that's a good game. The Sabres and the Blues, so the Sabres will be on the back-to-back. Pay attention to that. If they take a beating tonight, then you might want to jump on the Blues. Just minus 134 right now for St. Louis at home. That's a pretty cheap price to pay for St. Louis, I think, at this moment with Buffalo coming off a back-to-back. And you get plus 114 on a 60-minute line for St. Louis tomorrow night as well. Winnipeg is at Nashville tomorrow night. That's going to be an interesting game. The Ducks are at Arizona, so a bad game there. The Capitals and the Avalanche. Good game there. I think we got Nephew Dave here. And the Blackhawks and Canucks is the game tomorrow as well. Nephew Dave, is that you?
Yes, sir.
We do have Nephew Dave in the house. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I just went through the slate for tonight. Took a quick peek ahead at tomorrow. I know you sent me some picks, but what are you looking at for tonight?
Yeah, Steve. So what did I sent you? I like the Calgary Flames on the puck line tonight. They're playing Columbus, I believe.
Yeah, Columbus. We've already talked about how terrible they are for sure. Yep.
Right. All right. So yeah, we already got to that. So I don't see any problem. Calgary, I believe, is playing a little bit better lately. So I don't see any reason that they can't win that game by 2 or more. Very bad Columbus team. And I like the Rangers 60-minute line against the Panthers tonight. The Panthers, to me, I called them a fraud a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not quite a fraud, but I don't think that they're the team as of right now, anyway, that we thought that they were going to be this year. And I like the Rangers play a lot more than I do the Panthers. Figure that to be a tight one, but I think there's probably a little bit of value on the 60-minute line there.
Yeah, we looked at that. The 60-minute line for the Rangers is at minus 115 for the Rangers on the 60-minute line, plus 230 for Florida. Florida has been playing it a little bit better, though, Dave, recently. But, yeah, you're right. They're definitely not the team that we thought they would be, and they got their backup goalie in net tonight with Bravowski hurt as well. So this is a good spot for the Rangers on the Monday night. I told everyone I think I like the team goals for the Rangers just to play it safe. But, man, the plus 330 to go to overtime, that could be the case, but Shesterkin will scare me off of that for sure, I think.
Right, yeah, that, Steve, I could see, with the Eastern Conference, we talk about it, and these teams go through the ups and downs, so you always have that, but you expect these teams to play pretty tight as well, so if you covered that overtime value, I really like that as well. If maybe you wanted to do maybe like a round robin with that would probably be a pretty good play, at least to take a shot at it,
Yeah, if you're going to take some higher paying odd things tonight, if that's going to be your style, then, I mean, that's probably one of the better chances, I think, is that higher paying overtime here for the Rangers and the Panthers. But, yeah, like I said, Dave, like you kind of said, man, I mean, it's been hard to trust Florida this year. The Rangers seem to have a little bit more mojo going. And at home ice here at Madison Square Garden on the Monday night, you got to think that they're the favorite to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the other pick that I sent in to you, I forgot it was, I think the Maple Leafs on the 60-minute line. They're playing, I forgot who they were playing, Steve.
The Maple Leafs are home against, of course,
the Islanders, I think.
Yeah. They're playing the Islanders. Yep. And that's actually what I said. I think the 60-minute line for the Maple Leafs is probably the best bet here.
What was the value on that?
It's pretty good, actually. You're getting on the 60-minute line, if you want to take the Maple Leafs to win in regulation, you're just looking at a minus 142.
Okay, I don't hate that. I think that's a pretty good play for that game. The Islanders, they like to they're not a very high scoring team in my eyes. I think the style that they like to play is they try to get in front of you score wise, and then they just kind of they shut it all down and play that defensive game. Is more their style. They do have a decent defense back there. So like I just said, that's their style. But against a very high flying team like the Maple Leafs, I just don't think that goes very well for them. Being the kind of game that they want to play, I don't think matches up very well against the Islanders. I mean the Maple Leafs.
Dave, I went ahead through the Montreal Canadiens in the penalty box. They got the Boston Bruins on deck tomorrow night, and the Canadiens have been playing very poor hockey. They've given up a ton of goals on the season. Do you have any candidates yourself for the penalty box?
Steve, I was actually, when I was leaving the job site, I was tuning into you until I got back to my truck and on the way home. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's a really good pick. We've thrown the Blue Jackets in there, but instead of throwing the same old team in there, because the Blue Jackets, they might just live in the penalty box.
Yeah, exactly. So they can start paying rent to the who's the official who lets them out. They need to start giving him a rent check.
Yeah. So from what I gathered, the bit that I was watching of you when I was, like I said, leaving the job site, you hit it. You hit it really well there with the Canadians, man. They have a ton of injuries. A lot of young guys that they were trying to lean on this season So I think you hit the nail on the head there with the Canadian, Steve. Well, that's a good pick for the box.
Yep, 171 goals conceded as well for Montreal. So we'll go ahead and leave them in there. Okay, I don't see any other reason to take a break. We can go right into the future odds, Dave, I think.
All right.
Let's see what we got here. Odds to win the Stanley Cup. We'll start with that. The Bruins are your short shot at plus 500. Hey, I think that's a great price right now if you want to take the Bruins. I don't think it's going to get much better than that.
I love that. I love that price for the Bruins, Steve.
Just 5 regulation losses on the year, David. That's insane. Colorado, they're still up there at 8-1 odds. Go ahead. Were you going to say something about the Bruins?
Well, I was just going to say, and the goalie for Boston is playing out of his mind right now. I saw that he is the fastest. I believe the stat was the fastest goaltender to reach the 25 win mark in the NHL and in the history. So that is quite the accomplishment, and you just got to really love everything Boston right now. And that 500 price, I don't see how you don't jump on that. I mean, nothing is guaranteed, but in the sense of that number and the way they're playing, I don't see any kind of fold from them in the playoffs. We've seen it before from the best team that they just get to the playoffs and something wonky kind of happens, and then they're out in the first or second round. I'm not feeling that for Boston, man. They're the team to beat right now, straight up. I mean, there's not really much more that you can say about Boston. I mean, just they speak for themselves. So at that price, I mean, I don't see how you couldn't jump on that number.
Right. Colorado is at plus 800. Carolina is at plus 800. The Maple Leafs are 10-1. The Golden Knights, who are very injured themselves, are 11-1. Tampa Bay 12-1. There's Dallas Stars at plus 1400, which, Dave, we talked about them in Winnipeg, kind of being two of the horses are going to hang around the top there. They're tied for first place. But look at this, Dallas plus 1400 to win the Cup. Winnipeg plus 3100. So quite the disparity there. And the trailing team behind Winnipeg, the Minnesota Wild, 15-1. And, of course, the Avalanche trail all of them, are a bigger favorite than all of them at plus 800. The Devils have slipped all the way down to plus 1,500. Do you remember when the Devils were the second favorite on the board? Right now they're the ninth favorite. So they have, ever since they've given up first place to Carolina, they're not being looked at in the same light. Edmonton, they're climbing the ladder. They are at plus 1,800 right now. So a good price still for Edmonton as they look to be like, they're playing better hockey. The Penguins, we talked about them needing to string some wins together to even make the playoffs, maybe plus 1,900 for the Penguins. They're the Calgary Flames playing tonight at plus 1,900. The Rangers are getting a good price at plus 2,200. The Panthers at plus 3,300. The Kraken, we talked about them being good. Look, Kings and Kraken both having good seasons. Kings 35-1, Kraken 36-1. Our Capitals are at 40-1, and it starts to get a little sketchy after that. Nashville 75-1, Islanders 80-1, and then you're talking 120-1 odds for the Blues, and it gets worse from there. Montreal 500-1. Pretty much we have, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Dave, but they put your Red Wings here in a group amongst the Canadians, Blue Jackets, Vancouver, San Jose, Anaheim, Ottawa, Arizona, the Flyers, and Blackhawks, all 500-1. Any of those numbers stick out to you?
Yeah, so Steve, real quickly about the Red Wings, man, I was super high on them, and man, they just kind of seem to be trending in the wrong direction from what I thought. They were in the talks there for a while. That of course that was early season. So they have certainly let me down a little bit, but they've gone through some things this season. They had Verana, who they sent down to the Grand Rapids team, which is their affiliate in the AHL. You know, he was getting some mental help from the association, and they've gone through some injuries, so maybe it's not, you know, completely, you know, faulting their play. But yeah, it may be time to loosen the grip on them as far as, you know, certainly the Cup. I don't think they're a contender. They're going to have to do quite a bit of work to make it into the playoffs. So, like I said, a little bit disappointing in my eyes. I was super high on them come the beginning of the year. But I'll tell you what, Steve, the one number that really jumps out to me, and, you know, it's a play on words, I guess you could say. It's a gamble for sure. But what was that? The 31 to 1 odds for the Jets?
Yeah, yep. The Winnipeg Jets. They have a good goalie. They have a good goalie. You can kind of ride them to that if that happens.
And because we've been talking a lot about the Central, which has been, I don't know about you, Steve, but that's been my favorite race to watch right now between the Stars and the Jets.
Right.
Who's in the first place? Has that switched up since we talked last week?
So the Stars and Jets are both tied for first place as we speak. The Stars are plus 105, and the Winnipeg Jets are plus 280 to win the Central. Colorado is a plus 410, but your value actually might be on Minnesota at 6 to 1 odds.
Yeah, that's not bad. But I'll tell you what, I'm starting to really like this Jets team, Steve. I think that's somebody, that's a team to watch out for. You can absolutely find some value, and the way they're playing, you probably think that they have some pretty big expectations. So let's keep an eye on the Jets. That's a team that I'm starting to kind of side with right now as far as, you know, getting the value and kind of hitting our bet, so to speak.
Look at this. The Seattle Kraken, who are in second place, are now the favorite to win the Pacific at plus 185. Vegas has dropped down to plus 240 to win it. And there's Edmonton at plus 340. So maybe a decent little price on Edmonton if you want to take a shot with that. Calgary is at plus 650 to win the Pacific. But how about the Kraken, Dave? They're the favorites now to win that division.
Oh, certainly. I think they definitely can. I mean, they're playing great. You know, they're having a good year, much better than their inaugural year, that's for sure. You know, I don't know what was up with that. You know, their first year in the league, they had the exact same. They could have followed the same blueprint that the Knights did, and you saw what they did in their first year. I'm not sure, you know, what Seattle was really doing that first year. They were throwing a lot of picks around and a lot of players, but they seem to have found something that's working there in Seattle. So, you know, Steve, why not? Let's keep an eye on them. And I think the top three teams right now, I'm still not crazy about Vegas, but they're in contention, so we're gonna add them to the mix. But I like all three, the Knights, the Kings, and the Kraken in that division. So I think the door is wide open for Seattle right now.
The Kings 10 to 1 to win that division right now. So just playing around, Dave. I'm gonna, I'm just looking at a few things. But for example, you can do some things like this if you're out there in the audience. New Jersey is now not the favorite to win the Metro. It's now the Carolina Hurricanes. But if you have faith in New Jersey and that's been your team, now's the time to jump on them. So if you wanted to do something like a New Jersey to win the Metro and then take a shot with Minnesota at 6 to 1, if you want to take a shot with them to win the Central, and then you could throw in Edmonton at plus 340. But if you want to get super crazy, throw the Kings in there, like you said. But a parlay of New Jersey, Minnesota, and Edmonton to win their divisions now, $10 will win you 1,000 right there. And if you want to take Edmonton out and throw in the Kings, $10 will win you 2,500 on that bet for the Kings, Wild, and Devils all to win that division. If you need some second half of the season, if you need some second half of the season excitement, there are definitely some numbers out there. You can put some of these smaller parlays together to turn a minimum profit there, David, into a maximum reward, so to speak. How about this number, Dave? I would be, if you wanted to do one big straight bet, maybe you had $200, $300, $400 you wanted to throw down, and you can let it sit for a couple months here. Our Capitals to make the playoffs minus 130. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Steve. So that's not bad. That's they're still thinking that number has definitely changed a little bit, I believe. I think that's probably pretty appropriate. We're going, they started to get healthy, got some players back, and they're going to need a little bit more time, I think, to make those line combinations work. They were really finding good chemistry and catching some fire, and then these two guys come back, and it's not anything dire, but the chemistry, I think, is taking a little bit of a hit. I do think that comes back. I'm not saying, obviously having the guys like Backstrom and Wilson coming back, that's what we want. But that being said, Steve, they've been gone half the year. So it's going to take a little bit of time for everything to start gelling and working the way that we want it to. So I'm not super worried, but I think there is maybe just a little bit, tiny bit of concern there. They're holding that first wild card spot right now, but they need to start gathering some points together. A couple 3-4 win streaks would really go a long way right now. So yeah, I think you could definitely throw that in with some stuff. Steve, the TJ Oshie thing I heard you talking about, he had to go home. His wife, they are having another baby.
Oh, okay. All right. Yep.
So that's why he left the team. I'm sure that's not going to be long term. She'll have the kid. He'll hang out for a little bit and he'll get back to it. I don't believe that he's hurt. So that's just, they're having a baby, so he's taking a little bit of a leave right now. But hey, maybe, Oshie, you see what the team does with and without him. But with him being gone, maybe that lets a younger guy step back in, show what he can do. And not Oshie losing his spot, but Oshie being out could cause somebody else to lose a spot there, if that makes any sense.
It does. What's the latest you're hearing on the Ovechkin injury?
So from what I'm hearing, he didn't play the other night. Supposedly it was some kind of maintenance deal. I think he suffered some kind of minor lower body injury in the game before that. I don't think it's anything major, no cause for concern, but you don't want to irritate that injury any further. So I think they're just really exercising caution with him, Steve. I think we see him back in the next couple games. He's not going to want to be out that long. So whenever there's a chance that he's ready to go, he's going to get back at it. So I think it's all just really maintenance work with him right now, Steve. So they're just taking a little bit of caution. Let's see how bad that injury is. Like I said, I don't believe it to be anything that's a cause for major concern. The word I'm hearing right now is just maintenance date.
All right, and a good game with the Capitals and the Avalanche tomorrow night, and what was going to be a pretty good slate of games tomorrow night. We talked about that some as well. All right, we are just a couple minutes away from face-off tonight with the Rangers and the Panthers and the Islanders and the Maple Leafs. So we'll go ahead and leave it on that. Do you have any last thoughts, David?
No, Steve. I was telling Brody on the way home. I was working with him today, and I said, Steve, you're making me proud, man. You covered everything real good. It was really, really good coverage, especially with the Canadians, the Capitals, and all the numbers. So I think you nailed it tonight, and I think we found some pretty good stuff.
All right, and the All-Star break is creeping closer for everyone. All right, David, go ahead and have a safe drive there, and we'll see you later on this week for the round robin. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is What the Puck is Going On. For Dave Metzger, I am Stephen Murray. Everyone have a good night and good luck.